Hey, what's going down, my friends? Mr. Jonathan Budd here, and today we're going to talk about the stages of entrepreneurship. And I think this is actually incredibly important to talk about. And the reason why is because a lack of clarity of process is probably single-handedly responsible for more people making poor decisions about where they're actually at along the stages of entrepreneurship. And a lot of times, new people who are starting out, they think that they have failed or there's something wrong or whatever it is, because they just don't really understand the stages that we go through along this journey of success. And it's actually very multidimensional. And I don't want to use that word to, be esoteric. I just don't know how to explain it better, because there's really many dimensions by which we are evolving and growing along the path of entrepreneurship and business success. And one of those stages is consciousness, right? How is our consciousness actually expanding? We might refer to this as our mindset or our learning or, our knowledge base. Then there's a very practical one, our skill sets, right? What are our actual skill sets, our abilities? What are those stages? And there's even lots more than that. So in any case, I really want to give a map today for anybody who's starting out and anybody who's even really advanced, because it'll show you kind of what's next and where you're going and help you sort of put yourself along the path somewhere of this whole stage of success. Now, when we're first starting out, and I can only really use my experience as a gauge and as my reference point for how to teach all of this, but when we're first starting out, that's really when we are sort of in the blank slate, like sort of ignorante, you could say, in the whole new world of what we're coming into. And it's important to understand that we're all coming into this brand new world like a baby. Like a baby, okay? Nobody comes in to network marketing or internet marketing or being an author, a speaker, a coach, or a trainer. Nobody comes into that like, seasoned, okay? That stuff isn't taught in school. You're not learning it unless you learned it from your parents. This is the exception. If your parents were network marketers or authors or speakers or coaches or trainers, and you started being trained from the time you were freaking 4 years old on up, that's the exception. But for the vast 99% majority of us, nobody comes into this world with the experiences, the skill sets, the consciousness, the mindset, the learning that actually lends itself to creating success easily. You don't have it. I didn't have it. We just don't have it. So first of all, we have to acknowledge that we're all starting as babies. And there is a developmental process to go from a baby to an adult. Is there not? Except the mistake that we all make right off the bat is, well, I'm an adult. I should have the adult results that this, industry provides right from the start. What's wrong with me? I don't have it, right? How did I screw up? Blah, 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 blah. Holy crap, guys and gals. Can we please, for the sake of God, have some compassion for ourselves? If there is one quality that we should probably work on developing a little bit more in our own lives, it's compassion for ourselves. Newsflash, you don't need to be a perfect human being. There's no such thing. Newsflash, you're not born with all of the answers, and you're not wrong because you don't have them, and you're not wrong because, you didn't figure everything out like, in a nanosecond, like the kid you saw on the testimonial page or whatever the heck it is. Newsflash, let's have some compassion for ourselves, right? We're going through developmental process to reach our biggest goals in life, and it's hard. It's not easy to go from being a baby, a child, to an adult. Think about the mass amount of experiences that you have from the time you're cognizant of experience, right? The first memory you have as 3 years old, 4 years old. Think about everything you needed to go through to actually become an adult, who you are today. Was that easy? Did you not go through a heck of a lot of stuff? If you could look back on yourself and knowing what you know now, would you have more compassion for yourself, that teenager or that young child who was, taking things on themselves or blaming themselves or thinking they needed to be better or whatever. If you could look back today, would you seriously say, yeah, you were right, you did need to be better, and you did need to, do more, and you weren't good enough there, and would you seriously look back and tell yourself that as a little child or as an adolescent or as a teenager? Would you tell yourself that right now? Would you tell your own kid that right now, or your own teen or friend? Or would you have compassion? Would you see yourself and look back and go, you know what? Oh, I get it. You were just developing. You were just wet behind the ears. You just didn't know better. And you were doing the best you could. Have some compassion for yourself. Because guess what, my friends? That's what we're still doing. It doesn't matter if we're 80 years old, 8 years old, 20, 40, 50, 60. Each of us is just, coming into this as, wet behind the ears, learning something totally brand new, starting from a baby, going to an adult in the world of success, in the world of entrepreneurship. Being an entrepreneur is its entirely own world. It's its entirely own universe. And it has its own set of skills and knowledge and abilities and consciousness that we're simply not taught in school and from our parents and from society. We're not taught anywhere else. This is a whole new world, okay? So that's step one. Let's just acknowledge that that's what's going on and have some compassion for ourselves, right? Just some real compassion. Now, as we begin to move through these stages with that, the first stage really of consciousness is a lack of accountability, right? So if we're at a really low level, and a lot of us, if you come in beyond this, this doesn't say you have to be here to start or anything. This is just the lowest kind of level and how the stages evolve. You may come in beyond this, and that's great. That actually gives you a huge advantage. But kind of the lowest level, and you'll see this all over your life actually, when you see other people, or we can see it in ourselves a lot too, is when we are blaming others for the results we've produced in life. We're not taking accountability. It's always some else's thing's fault why our results are the way they are, why our life is the way it is, or whatever it is. It's always somebody else's fault, some other thing's fault, some other external reason to blame. And this is the lowest stage of consciousness of being an entrepreneur. And this stage of consciousness is impossible to succeed in. You will absolutely, without a doubt, never create success. This is also the lottery ticket mentality. When you get into things, when you join businesses, when you start businesses, the reason why it's a lottery ticket is because, well, for starters, you're not accountable to your results anyway. So how can you possibly grow? How can you possibly learn from your experiences when you're not accountable to them? When it wasn't your fault that this happened? You're just simply not open to learning. You're not open to growth. And if you're not open to learning and you're not open to growth, then you are dead as an entrepreneur. You're dead. You were never even born. You're dead, because entrepreneurship doesn't exist outside of learning and growth and an incredible openness to mentorship and really being wholly accountable for the results that we produce in life on every damn level and plane. So that's just step one, right? Now, as you move from there, a lot of times when you're also in that stage, there's a tremendous amount of struggle because you don't really have skills, because you're not really open to learning them, and it's other people's fault for why you don't have things or whatever the heck. So you don't really have skills, you don't really have abilities, it's everyone else's fault for your results you produce in life. You're not open or accountable. That's the bottom 20%. Okay, I call that the bottom 20% of the pool of people in the home business industry and, success mindset, people who, but people who want money, essentially, because they don't want success at that point. They don't want to grow. They just want money. Now, as you begin to evolve from that place, you move into this place of openness, and this is maybe where you might find yourself now, I imagine. Probably most of the people who I'm connecting with are probably here. They're open, and you begin to take accountability and responsibility for your results. You begin to say, you know what, this sucks if I didn't produce the result I spent $1,000 on this course, or I joined this business and nothing happened, or I've done this and all this stuff, and I'm not happy with any of it. But I know that unless I change, unless I take accountability and responsibility for all of this, that nothing's going to change. I'm not going to get better. I'm not going to learn new skills. I'm not going to improve my skills that I have now. I'm not going to develop my talents. I'm not going to meet new people. I'm not going to do any of that unless I first and foremost take accountability and responsibility for all of this and open myself to learning and growth and change on a whole new level. That fundamental, essential opening, and it's an opening that comes from right here, my friends. That opening has to take place for us to really open ourselves to whole new possibilities of results in life. And this is difficult because, you know, this forces us to really look at our view of ourselves, right? We really have to grow into a stronger human being throughout this process. Because the inclination is, you know, all of the insecurities and all of the, you know, this you know, as my mentor Adyashanti calls it, the disease, the absolute epidemic of Western culture is this epidemic of unworthiness, right? The Western culture literally has an epidemic of unworthiness. We all walk around constantly trying to prove our worth, constantly feeling like we're not as worthy as so-and-so, or unworthy here, or not as good as this. It's an epidemic of unworthiness. And this is really the epidemic that faces our Western culture, right? A lot of other cultures, you know, some have it, some don't. They have their own problems and whatnot, but a lot don't actually have, they don't live with this question of their own self-worth all the time. Like, do they like me? Am I worthy? Did I do good enough? Blah, blah, blah. That's us, in a large sense, that mostly lives with that. And, you know, this is very challenging because when we look at results that we don't want to produce in life and we have them, you know, the tendency is really to blame ourselves. And when we blame ourselves, oftentimes we're doing it subconsciously. It produces this terrible feeling like, oh, I didn't hit my goal. Oh, I didn't get any leads. Oh, I didn't sign anybody up. Oh, you know, it's been 90 days, nothing's happened. This is my fault. I'm a bad human being. I stink at business. You know, I'm not good at this. You know, all these other people are better than me at this. And we enter into this cycle of really just beating the crap out of ourselves and proving our unworthiness, right? Just all of our unworthy beliefs just proving themselves about themselves. Everything is just proof that we truly are unworthy. And so this is hard because when you actually accept accountability and responsibility for everything, you've got to actually take on, you know, you've got to be able to see through this bull crap that you are unworthy at the end of the day. You have to be able to see through the lies and the illusions and the limiting beliefs that we just somehow have grown accustomed to in our culture, and really just, they found us. We didn't really find them. It's kind of what we were born into in a way. And you've got to be able to sort of face all that stuff. You've got to say, you know what? I don't feel good about this right now. I feel like an idiot. I feel like a jerk. But you know what? I don't care because that's not who I am. And I'm committed to producing better results in life. I'm committed to learning. I'm committed to growth. I'm committed to openness. And I'm going to keep going. And so, you know, I'm summing it up and making it simple. There's a lot more, obviously, as you've experienced to it than that. You've really got to have a true grit to go through all of the emotional components of this journey of success. There's a tremendous amount of emotional components that you have to face, in order to move through these limiting beliefs. And so, anyways, really the next stage is that you're willing to face them. Like I said, you're willing to face them. You open to your mistakes. You open to your results that you've produced in life, whatever the heck they are. And you have an attitude of openness to learn, to grow, to surround yourself with people who actually know a lot more than you do so that you can get better, so that you can evolve, so that you can actually create more in life. And this is fundamentally the turning point for entrepreneurs. This is fundamentally the turning point for success. Because most people, they don't actually even get here. They don't actually ever even get to this point of openness in themselves. They don't allow themselves to get that far. They beat themselves up so much along the way that they just can't do it anymore, and they shy away, they quit, they stop, they whatever it is. But if you actually get to this stage of openness and accountability and total responsibility for all the results you produce in life, this is fundamentally the turning point for success in entrepreneurs. Now, that doesn't mean that you're instantly going to be successful. I don't know how much longer it's going to take for you to actually create success. But this is fundamentally the turning point, because from this point forward, now you're truly in a position to face the reasons why you haven't produced the results you want to produce, right? Is it a mindset issue? Is it skill sets? Is it a lack of knowledge? Is it a lack of ability? Where do I need to refocus my talents? Is it my social circle, my influence? Is it my mentors, my training? All of a sudden, you begin a whole new process of success where all of your experiences teach you, and you begin to evolve so fast. And that doesn't mean that it gets easy, because in fact, a lot of times it gets harder, because now you're actually experiencing all of the reasons why you're producing limited results, right? Maybe you discover, oh crap, my relationships suck. I need to open to that. I need to create new ones, or I'm getting the wrong mentorship, or I really don't have the right skills, or I haven't really developed copywriting, or I don't really know how to draw. But there's a whole openness to it that has never existed before. And you lean into that openness. You actually go forward into it. You take on all of these new things that you're learning and new experiences that you're having. And the natural thing is that the human being just evolves, right? This is kind of like learning to walk stage. It's not easy to learn to walk. You're falling all over the place. It's uncomfortable. It's awkward, but you're doing it anyway. You're still taking those steps. And so the next place that we go from here is really the sort of development of confidence in our skills and abilities. As we're going from that fundamental shift of entrepreneurship to, an actually developed state of being and a developed consciousness and a developed skill set, we really begin to learn how to run. And all of a sudden, the things that used to be, difficult to us are now easy. And all of a sudden it's easy. It's like you just got it and you're, oh yeah, I create a Facebook ad and yeah, no problem. I set up a capture page and put up a Facebook. Yeah, I'll test out a new page. I'll 20 leads tomorrow. All of a sudden this becomes no problem, because we've opened ourselves to learning all of these new things, and our skills and our proficiency really just begins to increase. And as your skills and proficiency really begins to increase, you find that it's actually quite easy to produce the results that were at once an enigma to you. The same way a toddler cannot imagine running, chasing, whatever. But once you've learned how to walk and you've started to learn how to run, well, all of a sudden, of course, that's just how you run. Of course, you can chase anything. What used to be an enigma is no longer an enigma. It's actually now just commonplace. It's just in your body. And the point of where we want to get our skills and get our awareness and get our abilities to is it just literally needs to be in our body. The same way you just reach up to grab, that's the same exact actual experience of putting up a new ad, creating a capture page, writing a sale. It's in your body. It's just total simplicity. And that takes a dedicated amount of time and practice and commitment to moving through that awkward phase. But once you've made that fundamental shift and you're open and you're learning and you're a total receptivity and total accountability and responsibility, it's really just a matter of time before those skills are developed. So you eventually find yourself where probably a lot of the higher tiers of success in the industry are, right? Multiple six-figure earner, you've got no problem generating leads, no problem closing clients, no problem kind of putting together campaigns for marketing and advertising your business. It's all just quite simple, actually. And so then you find yourself at a point of, well, what's next, right? And how do I go from here to millions and millions and millions of dollars a year, or tens of millions a year? And all of a sudden you realize that up until this point, you more or less have been living somebody else's vision, right? Somebody else said, hey, promote this product. Hey, do this program. Hey, do this. Hey, do that, do that. And you just said, yes, okay, And you're really living somebody else's vision. And all of a sudden you realize that you can't keep living somebody else's vision and create an entirely different level of results. And I'll stop right here because for a lot of us, we may not want what's next. Because what's next, you have to actually have a deeper calling for. For a lot of us, you know, $200,000, $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 a year, even $1 million a year income in our opportunity, whatever it is, that's really kind of where we're at in our highest of states. And that's really all we want. In order to kind of take on what's next, you really have to go through fundamental changes. There's something that needs to be so damn deep in you. Like you want to create something in the world so bad. You want to create something completely new, unique experiences, unique message. You have to want something that I just think 99.9% of people don't really want. They don't want it. And for good reason. It's insane to really want it. You have no idea what you are subjecting yourself to, how much unbelievable risk and pain and growth and challenge. If you think it's hard to do all this, I'll tell you right now, you know, it's a different type of hard to go from here to here, because it's almost like you are like stretching your soul. You're stretching everything of this unimaginable degree to go from here all the way to here. And so, you know, big disclaimer, that's not for everybody. And you'll know when that is right for you. You don't have to think, oh, because these are the stages I have to get. No, you don't. Any one of these stages you want to get off on, go ahead, live your life, enjoy your life. The purpose of life is to enjoy it and love it and to live our life, not somebody else's. And so, you know, I think most of us are going to be perfectly happy and perfectly content with really, you know, being an influential leader and making a huge difference in the world and creating the money we want to create. We're not all going to be insane enough to want to always keep going and have this it's a weird drive that always wants to sort of keep going. So it's not, you know, don't think that has to be you. But, you know, to just kind of conclude this video, the next stage of consciousness really is a vision for something that is completely unique, completely independent of really what's out there. It's your total unique contribution that you want to make to the business world, right? What new business, new technology, new teaching, new training. And a lot of times I found when you have a completely unique vision, you've got a gun for that. You've got to go for that. And that's where, you know, truly exponential results can be created. That's when you actually found a new company, right? You know, you found a new company meeting a new need or meeting a new service or whatever the heck it is that hasn't been met before, or you create a new innovative model that nobody else has created before, right? Or you know, start a new system that has a whole different campaign or tweak to it and nobody's done that before. And that's all of a sudden where you see these exponential sort of results from this level are able to be produced. And, you know, there's a lot more to be said about that. But, you know, hopefully this video was helpful to you just to kind of, you know, it's difficult to sum up, you know, all the stages of entrepreneurship in a 20-minute video, which obviously is impossible. But I just wanted to give you a framework. I wanted to give you sort of a guideline for kind of how you move through this world and where you might be at. And there's obviously tons of micro stages even inside of all those, because when we go from, you know, openness to earning our first $1,000 a month, well, there's actually another stage that takes place in our consciousness and our leadership abilities and all these other things when we go from $1,000 a month to $10,000 a month. But the same essential drive for that is that shift I talked about. It's that fundamental openness to just continue learning, continue evolving, continuing to complete accountability and responsibility for all our results, continuing to find the right mentorship, to find the right teachings and knowledge and leaders, and to continue to apply ourselves and implement and be completely devoted to our goal, to our mission, to our business. That essential drive will take you from $0 to, $200,000-$300,000 a month, no problem, because it's that same essential curve right there that takes you to that level. And then once you get there, it's actually the same thing that takes you beyond, but it just has a different quality to it. You're stepping into a far more of a complete ownership conversation and really visionary conversation that takes you, far beyond there. But it's the same essential drive, if that makes sense still. So the whole point is to get ourselves to that fundamental shift in consciousness, that I've been talking about so much in this video, and to really drop and leave behind all of the, beating ourselves up, all of the judging ourselves, doubting ourselves, comparing ourselves, thinking we should be somewhere where we're not, and, just the lack of understanding that this is a process in and of itself, and it's learning how to crawl all the way to the 100-yard dash. And so just being able to see that that's what's going on really should allow you to be more compassionate with yourself, compassionate with others, and give you a timeline and a framework for you moving through this process, because it may take 5 years, it may take 10 years, it may take a year, it may take 2 years, it may take 6 months, it may take 20 years. I don't know what it is for you, but that's for you to discover and you to find out. And as long as you're committed and devoted to it, you will discover it, my friends. You will find out, and you will reach the level of success that you're meant to. So, my friends, Mr. Jonathan Budd signing off. We'll share more. I'll be back to share more with you later.